I'm Tyler Traxon. I am a video producer with communications and marketing over in Dole Hall, and giving you a rundown of some tips and techniques for doing some short films. Audio recording with productions, it can really make or break your production. And what it does is it clearly defines whether you're amateur or professional. A lot of the stuff I'll be presenting today, I'm not 100% on. So I'm not a complete professional over everything here, but I have a pretty good idea of how to do it and stuff I shouldn't do. So I hope to convey that on a little bit to you guys. So whenever you are watching something, the audio, you never want it to be very distracting. So if you're in a very noisy room, you're going to notice that from scene to maybe outside. So you got birds chirping outside, and then you go into a noisy room of some sort, an enclosure, and you're hearing a hum. That audio is very distracting, and that's one of the biggest things is that focusing the viewers and not distracting them. So no one notices good sound, but they do notice when it does stand out, and that's because it's done poorly. First thing that I really want to go over when doing kind of short film video, especially with people using a lot of DSLRs nowadays, which is fantastic. It gives you some great footage. It's putting a cinema style quality in a lot of people's hands. And problem is that they don't have very good audio built into a lot of those DSLRs. A lot of other cameras come with some professional audio options. They might have a 16-inch plug, 1/8-inch plug, 1/4-inch plug for different audio connectors. I was gonna go over just the idea of a dual audio record. So not only recording on your video device, but also recording it separately on another device. And similar to this is a digital media recorder. This is as well. These are some mics, but these are what we're recording separately and recording audio so that you can sync it up later. The DSLR, the onboard mics or camera mics, anytime you have a handy cam or anything like that, it's going to be very hollow and very directional. So if you point it this way, you're not going to be hearing this person really well, as opposed if you point it directly at them. And a lot of them you can't control manually. The DSLRs, you might have some options with it, but for the most part, it's just doing it automatically, and it's adjusting the levels to your environment. So with that, I highly encourage you to purchase, rent, or borrow, preferably rent or borrow, because some equipment does get very expensive. And you're able to check out a lot of devices here at the library. So especially coming up, if you know when you will be needing them, reserving those dates might be key. So here at the library, they have a different version of this guy. This is the H4n, and I'll talk about him later, but the Zoom H6 does a really good job of capturing audio. You'll just need to have different inputs and jacks and cables, and I believe you also have that here for checkout. But all these different options here, you're able to record audio to them. In all these situations, you always want to get the equipment tested out beforehand. You don't want to get something and then just go out into the field and be like, oh, this doesn't work. There's a lot of hiccups that can happen. The multi-track field recorder, probably not needing that for this. However, it is good if maybe you have multiple mics. Maybe you have a two-person conversation and you have two mics going. Also music, if you're recording multiple instruments kind of stuff, that would be good for that. And then the omnidirectional USB mic, it's something that just sits on a desktop. But if you're in a room and you're shooting someone very tight, you've got a lot of tight shots, this would be good to set right below them, right out of the shot. Some suggested items if you know someone who has these sort of things. These are a lot of things that we have over at Dole Hall. They're not available for checkout or for personal use, but I did want to bring them so that you guys can see them and check them out. The Zoom H1, we use this early on with a lot of our DSLR stuff. So there's a couple different ways you can use this. You can use it with just the mics on here, and there's a little connector down here. So if you did have a boom pole similar to this, or I mean anything long and can screw into that, you can set it over them just like a boom mic, and it's going to record pretty darn good audio. But there's also connectors for line in. Different models of this, it depends on your mic really, but whether or not you're getting phantom power from a microphone similar to this really depends, and that's something you'll have to kind of test. So if you do get a microphone, you'll need to know whether or not it needs to be powered by an external source, or it can be powered by this. From what I believe, I don't think this does phantom power, which phantom power is when a device can actually power an audio device. So this mic is phantom powered through this guy right here. H4n, 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch, so you can either do 1/4 inch or XLR. And the 1/4 inch are, there's a lot of adapters that can, 1/8 inch, it's just the adapter that would go on that. You see them a lot of times whenever you buy headphones, you'll get an adapter on the end. Audio accessories, the microphones are a big one, the omnidirectional. So this is an omnidirectional right here. I can pass around one to kind of show you that. Omnidirectional and unidirectional can all sometimes look the same. This is something that's going to be phantom powered, so we'd have to have a power source for this guy. Windscreens, if you're outside, windscreens help whenever there's wind. If there's a little fluffy thing over top of this and you're outside, it cuts down wind like almost 100%. And the Invisalov, what this allows you to do is capture that audio without any sort of rubbing, and then you can also hide it. It's not ideal to have this scene on camera, especially when you're trying to tell a story, because it kind of takes the viewers out of the mind that, oh, this isn't just happening in real life, this is set up. Omnidirectional is capturing kind of a broad audio in the room. It kind of goes out from all different directions, like this one's kind of right here on out, and then this area. It's doing a really good job with that. With unidirectional, if this was right here and it was pointed straight up at my mouth, it would be getting me. However, if I had a ceiling fan or anything else above me, like a vent or something, it would also be picking that up too. So it's very directional in that it can pick up really good audio, but it's pointing. This is another example of a unidirectional. It's a shotgun mic. And on this is a boom mic. So you'll see these a lot of times where people are holding it way out. They're right outside the scene. You don't ever see the mic. Oftentimes they're standing behind the camera knowing where they can kind of put it so that they don't have to be seen on camera. But a great second option when you maybe aren't able to put any sort of lav mic on them. The video mics that I've brought today, these are also pretty good, fairly inexpensive. This one we actually got and would go on top of a DSLR. Pretty good. And you can disconnect it, get maybe a longer cable, and you can go up a lot closer to someone to get it as well. Just a kind of a bigger version of it, but both connect real easily into DSLR cameras, and you can get hookups and cables for it to go into these as well. Whenever you are starting to think about your production and where you're going to be recording, always scout those locations. Test your equipment. So test your camera, see if you're going to have to bring some lights. Test your audio, see if you're going to have to maybe figure out a different location because maybe there's a lot of traffic and you keep hearing it in the background. Bringing headphones to listen on the device and capturing some audio to kind of see if it's going to work. But always scouting that location for both video and audio. When you are on location, before or after you kind of wrap something, you'll want to record some room tone, and this will help you in the audio editing in the fact that you're recording a couple minutes of just room tone that'll help cover up any sort of edits that you have. So if you're editing someone's conversation and you're cutting between cameras and maybe you want kind of a dramatic pause, well, they didn't pause enough for you in the video, so maybe you take another shot of a B-roll shot of someone just kind of looking and you add a little bit of this in there. You don't have any audio, you're able to add the room tone, and so it's naturally going from one conversation with a break into another conversation, and you don't even notice it. If you were to take out just the audio and just try and run with that, it would be noticeable to the viewer and they would be kind of pulled out of the situation. Clapboard and camera mics. So I do encourage also recording on camera mics. Reason B is that it helps tremendously whenever you're trying to sync your audio. Because sometimes you are cutting up a lot of the footage so that you're using maybe one little clip and you don't have that clapboard audio on there. And the reason why I say clapboard is you don't necessarily have to have something like this, but stand in front of your camera, you have all your recording devices going, you have your camera going, you have your audio going, you know it's recording, you're seeing the levels. All you got to do is stand in front of that camera. Just do that. What that does is that helps you in post audio, because these are separate audio clips. And you'll have to bring them in separately and sync them up to your video. And you'll notice that it's going to take a lot of wiggling around, because if you have it off just a little bit and you're listening to maybe your camera audio, you'll hear an echo. And that lets you know that it's not synced up. You need to sync it up just a little bit more. So you'll just be moving that audio, that external audio, until it sounds naturally. And then that's when you know you have a sync, and that's when you know you can turn off your DSLR or your camera audio that you captured to help sync with it. Headphones, headphones, headphones. Always take headphones out in the field, especially when you're out testing. Check your levels. Do a test before you actually start recording, making sure that you're recording with your audio. That lets you know everything's good to go. And then multiple times during. So like if for some reason you ran out of space or something like that, you don't know that, but if you go back and listen throughout the kind of the recording, you'll know a little bit. It's like, okay, that happened, there was a click here, need to go back, re-record that kind of thing. External audio recorders and better mics are really the way to go. Always having something in addition to any onboard camera mic is heavily preferred, because those onboard camera mics are not the greatest. Can it be done? Yes. I'm not going to tell you that it can't be done, but trying to go the extra mile and make that audio just a little bit nicer definitely helps and says something about your production. Try to find someone to dedicate to audio and capturing it. So asking a friend, someone down the hall, anyone that likes putting on headphones and just listening, they can do it. Just making sure that they hit the record button is another thing, but maybe you can do that for them. Know your equipment and your location. Test out your equipment. Understand how it works, understand the settings. Because I think all of this is kind of new to you. It's always new to me. I have to reacquaint myself with equipment all the time. But before I'm doing that, I'm getting in and I'm working with it to make sure that I actually know the different settings, the different buttons I need to push while I'm getting my equipment together before I even go out into the field. And basically, do it right the first time, you won't have to do it again.